What's up everybody, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a game that is very near and dear to my heart and one of the most influential games in the industry ever, and that is Resident Evil 4. Now, Resident Evil 4, there is a rumor going around that Capcom could be remaking the game, and I wanted to talk about that in its own video because I have a long history with Resident Evil 4. It's one of my favorite games of all time, easily a top 10 for me, and there's a lot of history and weight behind this game in terms of how it shaped the industry, which we'll talk about a little bit here. So let's first start off with the rumor. There was a post from Nibble on Twitter with the website Video Games Chronicle detailing what's going on here. So let's go ahead and get into what it has to say. So the report is that Resident Evil 4 Remake is in the works, and the development led by M2, who did the RE3 remake with support from Capcom, and that the game is slated for 2022. Now, another little interesting tidbit here is that Capcom apparently approached the RE4 mastermind, Shinji Mikami, to direct the remake, but he declined on that front. So there's a lot to kind of go over, even just with that little bit of news. But I want to first and foremost say, guys, is that this is a rumor. Yes, they are reporting on it, so definitely there's some sources and there's some smoke, right, to where this fire is coming from, if there's anything there, but it still is a rumor at this point. But considering how Capcom has been remaking Resident Evils pretty much every single year at this point, it doesn't surprise me that they would be doing something like this. If this does turn out to be true, does not surprise me at all. So let's go into RE4's status. Many people kind of see RE4 as this, like, hey, this is Capcom's version of Skyrim. It's been ported to everything: 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Wii, Switch, PC, originally ported from the GameCube to the PS2. I mean, the game's pretty much everywhere. Heck, you can even play it on your mobile phones. But Resident Evil 4, it is an iconic game. That behind the back, pulled in third person view, so many other shooters really learned from what Resident Evil 4 did, and it shaped the industry when it comes to third person shooters. It really did. You can talk to a lot of the people that made successful shooters after Resident Evil 4, and many of them credit that to saying, hey, this is the way that we're going to do it here. So games like Gears of War, for example, or even the Uncharted series. So I think that Resident Evil 4 does have an iconic status. It really does. But I'm a little conflicted in terms of what's going on here. One, because while I'm not like the hardest core of Resident Evil fan, I am a big Resident Evil fan. I love the Resident Evil games, been playing them for a very long time. And I feel that maybe Capcom is going just a little bit overboard with the Resident Evil remakes, but we can talk about that. So let's just go ahead and get into my thoughts first on it. I think that Resident Evil 4 doesn't need to be remade. Not necessarily, but that's not my call, and it's a capitalistic business. So with Capcom remaking RE4, or if they're going to do it, remember, this is just under the assumption that this is true, just so we can discuss it. If they're going to do it, obviously it's for money, right? Capitalistic business, they're trying to make money, and they have the RE engine, they can reuse the assets. Like, it makes sense for them to remake Resident Evil and to kind of just remake all the popular Resident Evil games, right? Like, you might as well. You have this engine, you can do it, the game is going to play good, and you have a guaranteed fan base to buy your game. Although I would say this, RE4 is already really good. So all you're really going to do here is take that really good game and just make it even better. I'm wondering if they're going to actually add anything though, or if they're going to cut some stuff, because if you remember, RE3 did cut some things here and there and then add in other things. So what I'm hoping that they do with this remake is add on top of it. Of course, remake things, make it to where it's awesome, but I think some of the segments when it comes to like with Ashley and some of the stuff like that, it would be cool if they kind of redid that in a little bit of a different way, so it plays a bit different. Now, of course, they can take the full game, they can remake it, and they can just put it out there, which would be fine. I think a lot of people would love that, but it would be really cool if they actually added in some other new content, maybe some new single player content. A game that comes to mind for me is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, to where, yes, they are putting this huge Wii game on the Nintendo Switch and they're remaking a bunch of cool stuff, makes it look way better and everything, but they actually added in that future connected content in there, right there on the cartridge in the download for $60. So I'm hoping that Capcom does something like that. And you also have to think about it like this: well, what are they going to do with the Mercenaries mode? Because that was kind of the first time that people really got a taste of what the Mercenaries was, you know, on that power of systems with the GameCube and the PS2. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something with that Mercenaries mode, maybe make it an online or something like that. But they already have the other RE Resistance thing that they're doing with online, so it's kind of murky there what they're going to take. But I'm hoping that it's just something to where they can take the game, make it obviously better, so it would be probably moving and shooting at the same time. Maybe they even add a little bit of some type of cover system or something like that. I'm not really sure what else they can do. The game is already really, really good. But I mean, imagine getting chainsawed by somebody with those 4K graphics or something like that on the Xbox One X, or even the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I mean, I think that is definitely possible, considering they're targeting, or it's said here in the rumor, if 2022 is correct, that would be a year and some odd months, depending on when they come out with the game, after the next generation of systems launch. So it could definitely be that, but I'm kind of leaning more towards a cross-gen games, to where it's going to be available on PS4, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, and also Xbox Series X, and not just on those systems. And Capcom usually likes to slate these Resident Evil games early in the year, so that's why I'm saying it would be about a year and some odd months, and not 2 years from when the next gen systems come and all of that, because it's probably going to be early 2022 if this rumor is true here, just because that's how Resident Evil 2 Remake was. That was January, the very end. And then Resident Evil 3 Remake was April of this year. So something tells me that they're going to stick with that projection, kind of skip all the big hitters at the end of the year, kind of catch people at the beginning of the year when people are kind of looking for stuff to play after they've beaten their holiday games. And it's worked out for Capcom so far. So I do think that could be it. But I do want to talk just a little bit more about, are there too many of these RE remakes? Because now we're starting to get RE every single year, or is there just too much RE in general? We're getting it every single year, and it's okay, I guess, for the most part, right? I think that we recently covered a rumor about Resident Evil 8, the whole village thing, that coming next year. So yeah, this would be Resident Evil pretty much every single year. I mean, and even if you look at it like dating back to 2015 or so, there's been a number of Resident Evil games coming out all the time, or they're re-releasing games, which is fine. I think that RE is one of those historic and classic franchises, and you're trying to get new people in. And once again, like I said, I understand the business model when it comes to this. Resident Evil is Capcom's, like, one of Capcom's biggest franchises out there. I mean, before Monster Hunter blew up like Monster Hunter did, it was Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil was the franchise for them in terms of big money maker, and it still is. It still is a big money maker, because you can release a lot of these Resident Evil games and make a lot of money off of them. So I understand, but man, it just seems like they're just saying Resident Evil, Resident Evil, Resident Evil, and they have a bunch of other franchises that they haven't tapped into. I mean, we still haven't seen stuff like Breath of Fire. Like, where is that franchise at? There's more that they could do. People talk about this all the time in terms of Capcom games, but this is something that's like, hey, we all know Capcom has a bunch of cool IPs. We all know, and I think Capcom even knows that people want to see those IPs come back. I'm just hoping that this RE4 remake, if it's true, they don't mess it up. I mean, that's the thing that I don't want to see. I don't think they would, just because RE2 remake is pretty good. RE3, I mean, I wouldn't say that they messed it up, but I'm not sure if everyone is completely pleased with that, just like people were pleased with RE2 Remake. So I'm not saying they are going to mess it up, but there's always the possibility that some things don't work out the way that they wanted to when you're remaking the game, you know. So we'll see how that works out and everything, but I'm just crossing my fingers. I think it's going to be okay, but we'll have to wait and see. So what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to Resident Evil 4 Remake rumor? What would you like to see them upgrade or add, or heck, what games would you guys like to see Capcom remake outside of Resident Evil? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the link in the description. We've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a follow on there and stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.